UFC 329 is a wrap, boys. In today's video, I'm going to give you the best possible matchup, in my opinion, for every single winner on the prelim, main card, as well as the loser. This is going to be quick, straight to the point. Let's get into it. First up, starting it off hot. This is going to be one I feel like a lot of people are going to disagree on because the UFC is probably going to want to promote and you kind of push both of these guys. But I just think this would be an absolutely sick matchup. We got Luke Riley versus Jose Miguel Delgado. Man, this fight right here, Jose has multiple first round finishes, explosive on the feet, multiple first round knockouts. Luke Riley's coming off a sick performance as well, first round KO. I just think on the feet, this fight would be super fun to see, super exciting. Somebody would probably get finished. And it gets Luke Riley in the top 15 as well with a win. He can get a number next to his name, and then you can push him even quicker, even more to a bigger name. Got to capitalize off a big event on this. He just fought on a Conor McGregor card. All eyes were on him. Saw it. So, yeah, I think the UFC has to capitalize. Luke Riley versus my boy Jose. Be really dope. Next up, we got Gable Stevenson versus Ryan Spann. There was a couple different directions, honestly, I could have went with this. Look, got to get a number next to his name. I think this could be possibly a tricky matchup, to be honest. So, if he wins, he gets a number next to his name. If he doesn't, he doesn't. The UFC heavyweight division is absolutely dog shit right now. It's absolutely fucking dog shit. It's filled with a bunch of blobs. So let's just push him. Let's push him up the rankings, see how he does. And yeah, there was somebody else I was thinking about matching Gable up with that I know would piss a lot of people off. I'm almost scared to even say it just because of the reaction I might get, honestly. But I was honestly considering matching Gable up with Curtis Blades. Yes, for a second UFC fight, matching him up with Curtis Blades. However, in the back of my mind, I felt like that could be a little disrespect to Curtis, a veteran, a person who's fought everybody. So I didn't do that yet. But with a win here, he can make a quick turnaround. Ryan Spann, I believe, hasn't fought in a while. Y'all can correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong, but I believe it's been a little while since he's fought. So both should be ready to go. We can make this fight happen quick. And if Gable wins, gets a number next to his name, then we have the Curtis Blades fight. And, him and, or at least Josh Hockett has said a couple things about Gable, so that could be a possible matchup in the future. So let's do Gable Stevenson versus Ryan Spann. Get a number next to his name. Like I said, he wins this fight. Fight Curtis Blades. Josh Hockett fought Curtis Blades. He gets past Curtis. Got a big matchup right there. However, I do think Ryan Spann could be some problems. We haven't really seen Gable's wrestling in the UFC yet. Obviously, he went out there, stood on the feet the whole time in his matchup on UFC 329 against a cop, a plumber, whatever the dude was. I'm not even sure if the dude he fought had a win in the UFC. Maybe he was 1-2. Not sure. I think he might have been 1-2 in the UFC. But either way, that was a guy Gable was lined up for. He was supposed to beat him, supposed to be destroy him. The odds reflected that. The matchup reflected that. The fight reflected that. So, yeah, man. Let's see what Gable's about. This would be a good step up in competition. Ryan Spann has good experience. He's long, rangy on the feet. He could provide some problems. And I feel like in this fight, this would be a fight we would have to see Gable's wrestling, see how he does, see his grappling, submission game, all that stuff. So I would do Gable Stevenson versus Ryan Spann. If he wins that fight, match him up with Curtis Blades, set him up with bigger fights in the future. We got Robert Whitaker versus Johnny Walker or Dominic Reyes. All right. With a win over either of these guys, he gets a number next to his name. Robert was a little bit of a tricky one, obviously, just because he's a fan favorite. A lot of people know who he is. A lot of the casual UFC fans as well are somewhat familiar with Robert Whitaker. So I didn't want to match him up against somebody who maybe some of the casual fans wouldn't know or haven't seen before. Give him some type of decent name value as well as giving him a somewhat favorable matchup. So I think Johnny Walker, I believe he's ranked 13th or 14th. I think Dominic Reyes is still ranked 7th or 8th. So if Dominic Reyes is willing to fight down in the rankings to fight a big name guy like Rob on a nice card, could do Dominic Reyes or you could do Johnny Walker. I think Rob could win either of these fights, to be honest. I think it's a super winnable matchup. Either way it goes. I think there's good name value in it for Rob. He could get put on a good card, a fight night main event, whatever the case is. Johnny Walker or Dominic Reyes. We got Terrence McKinney versus Chase Hooper. Chase Hooper has about, I think, in about a week. I think it's next week versus Mitch Ramirez. So I think Terrence McKinney should fight the winner of that. Wasn't really sure what to do with Terrence, but he's a decent name in the sport. I feel like a lot of people know who he is. Probably doesn't deserve a fight in the rankings, to be honest, if Chase Hooper wins. I believe Chase Hooper is still ranked number 15, if I'm not mistaken. Once again, you can correct me on that. Probably should have done my homework, but I'm pretty sure Chase Hooper is ranked number 15. So it's kind of tricky, to be honest with you, because I don't know if Chase would take that fight. And I don't know if coming off a first round KO loss, if Terrence really deserves a ranked opponent right now. But needless to say, I think this could make a good prelim fight on a decent pay-per-view. So if Chase Hooper gets the job done, why not? And if he doesn't, which I believe he will, but if he doesn't, you can match Terrence up with Mitch Ramirez. So striker versus grappler. I think it'd be kind of interesting. Like I said, it could pull some kind of casual fan base to the prelims, get people in the seats early, maybe a little bit. So yeah, Terrence McKinney versus Chase Hooper. Bobby King Green versus Dan Hooker, baby. Easy money. This is a no-brainer. This should be a really easy fight for the UFC to make. Both guys want it. Dan Hooker's been off for a little while, so should be healed up, should be healthy, should be good to go. Give Bobby a couple months. He'll fight. He'll stay active as the UFC will let him, so this should be an easy fight to run. Both good names. I think you could stick this on a pay-per-view card or a fight night main event or co-main event, whatever. I think you could bring some eyeballs after everything that's happened with Dan, all the shit that came out online, the stuff the girl was posting about him, and all that weird shit. I think the build up to this fight could be fun. It's a good matchup. You're gonna get a striking matchup. Two relatively tough guys. Dan a lot more durable than Bobby, obviously, but yeah, I don't know. I think this could favor Dan. If you're a Dan fan and you're rooting for him, I think Dan could get this one done. But it's also not a terrible matchup for Bobby either. I think this fight would be an absolute banger. Kyoji Horiguchi versus Loner Kavanagh. Man, this fight right here, this would be a good one for sure. I think this is an absolute beautiful, beautiful matchup right here. Both guys are coming off losses to top contenders. The rankings make sense. The timeline would make sense. Horiguchi coming off a loss to Manel Kape. Obviously, Loner Kavanagh coming off a loss yesterday. We're at UFC 329 whenever you're watching this to Brandon Royval. What a scrap that was also. That was an absolute scrap. Good honestly, decent performance by both. I wish Loner would have showed a little bit more activity, but he showed some good power, good stand-up, dropped Brandon once pretty bad, almost got him out of there, to be honest. Most guys in the division, he probably gets the finish right there, but Brandon's a tough guy, so yeah, man, this kind of speaks for itself. Next up, we got Asu Alabayev versus Brandon Royval. Brandon Royval is kind of in a tricky situation. I'm going to be honest. He's pushing that gatekeeper status a little bit. I wouldn't say he's quite a gatekeeper yet, but he's getting there. He's lost to multiple guys at the top. Joshua Van, Manel Kape. I don't think there's much room for... he's also beaten some guys at the top of the division as well, obviously, but just don't think he's in much of a position to get very many rematches, so... This is kind of the guy highest up in the rankings that I think could fit if he wanted to. Otherwise, if he doesn't want to fight him, he might be sidelined for a little bit. Yeah, I wasn't really sure what to do with Brandon here. I believe he just fought down in the rankings against Loner, so I don't know if he'd want to do the same with Asu. Just tricky situation for Brandon. Yeah, man. This could also be quite a tricky matchup for him as well, to be honest with you. I rate Asu a little bit. I do. I really do. Even coming off a great performance and beating a very skilled opponent like Loner Kavanagh, I'm not sure. I think Brandon might have no choice but to fight down a couple spots again. Doing that, he's going to add to his resume, add to the legacy a little bit if he can keep getting past these guys. Like I said, he's pushing that gatekeeper status. I think he has potential and a chance to fight for titles again, fight for #1 contender fights. I just don't think he's in that position at the moment. So if he wants to stay active, if he wants to take another fight here soon, the timeline on this, makes pretty good sense. Ranking wise, it makes pretty good sense. Matchup, I'm honestly not sure, to be real. I'm not sure how it goes. But yeah, like I said, the ball's in Brandon's hands with this one. It's really up to him if he wants to stay active, he wants to sit out for a little bit. Just kind of see how the division plays out. Up to him. But for right now, this is the best matchup I could come up with for Brandon. So Mario Batista, another one kind of in a bit of a weird situation. As honestly, most of the guys on this card are kind of in a tricky situation because I know the UFC is not going to do him versus Sean. I don't really think Sean wants to fight Mario, as they were training partners. Mario's been on his podcast, all that stuff. So I think Mario Batista, if he's willing to sit for a little while, I think he should fight the loser of Peter Yan and Merab. As we can all assume, that's probably the fight the UFC is going to make. If it's not, I don't believe it's announced already, but the announcement's probably coming sooner than later. So yeah, Mario should fight the loser of Peter Yan and Merab, and I really rate and I really rate Mario as well. I think he's priming right now. He's looking the best he's ever looked. He's coming off really good performances, even in the Umar fight. Even though he lost, he showed a really good performance, put up a really good fight. And it was super competitive with Umar all the way around, on the feet, on the ground, everywhere. So I really rate Mario. And I think he matches up well against both those guys, to be honest with you. Peter could be a little tricky for him, but I think he matches up pretty well against Merab. I really do. Or if he wants to stay super active and he's willing to fight down in the rankings after just fighting up and winning and beating Corey Sandhagen, he could fight Song Yadong. Now, this is a tricky one because he can stay active. He could get a big win here, kind of put him in. See, the thing is with this one, though, even if he beats Song, I feel like they're still going to give him the loser of Merab and Peter, to be real. I just think this would be a fight if he wanted the money, or if he wanted to stay active, because we don't know how the Merab and Peter fight's going to play out, and we don't know how long they're going to be out for after that fight. So if he wanted to take another fight, Song Yadong's coming off a win. I think he could take a Song Yadong fight. Sean O'Malley just fought Song as well not too long ago. So this could be a fight the UFC makes. However, if I'm Mario, I'm kind of pressing for and trying to take the loser of Merab and Peter. That's what I would do. But like I said, wants to stay active, got a Song Yadong matchup for him right there. This is the fight right here the UFC should make. However, there's a couple different ways they could go with this. The UFC should make Corey Sandhagen versus Payne Talbot. I think both big name guys, I think this would bring in a lot of eyeballs from hardcore MMA fans, casual MMA fans. You could throw this fight night main event. You could throw this on the main card of a pay-per-view. You could throw this pretty much, yeah. It's just going to bring eyeballs. This is a fight everybody wants. And as much as I want to see it, honestly, just don't think the Sean O'Malley, Corey Sandhagen makes sense at this point now. They had a chance to make it at the UFC White House, UFC Freedom 250, whatever. They did not make it then. And Corey coming off a loss, Sean coming off 2 wins, and 2 ranked wins at that. I just don't think, as much as I want to see it, I don't think it makes sense. So this is kind of the next best matchup. I don't see why they wouldn't make it unless it's just on Corey's side, not wanting to fight down that far. But guys need opportunities. So a guy like Payton, I don't know where he's been. I don't know what the UFC is trying to do with him. But this is a great matchup they could make for both guys. Both guys' name could build off this fight. So, yeah, I think the UFC needs to make this fight ASAP, as quick as possible. Corey didn't take a ton of damage, so he should be able to bounce back and get in there relatively quick. No reason this fight can't happen. UFC, Dana, Hunter, let's get it going. But on the flip side, they really wanted to do something different, and I could see the UFC doing something like this. David Martinez. Or they could give him somebody like a Marcus McGee. There's honestly a lot of I thought I had a picture of Marcus McGee up here with David, but I guess not. But the UFC, knowing them, they could do a David Martinez or a Marcus McGee fight. I mean, I guess I'd be cool with that. But like I said, the Payne Talbot fight is definitely 100% the one to make. But knowing the UFC, don't be surprised if you see a David Martinez or a Marcus McGee matchup. More specifically, probably the Marcus McGee matchup, but because I believe Marcus is coming off a win, and the timeline for that fight could make sense. So yeah, don't be surprised if you see something like this. I'd just do the Payton fight. I don't know what Payton's doing. I don't know what the UFC is doing, but couldn't get Sean O'Malley versus Corey. We need the next best thing, baby. Benoit Staff Denise versus Tom Nolan. Sorry, Benoit. You got to go down, my boy. I don't rate you. I don't. I don't understand why Patty was an underdog versus him. There was great value on Patty if you're a betting man, plus 130 on most gambling sites, or most sports books. Plus 110 to plus 130 on Patty was literally free money. Yeah, I don't know. I got to be honest. I don't rate BSD that high. I don't think he's a super big draw. Tom Nolan's needs a bigger matchup, so why not? Why not? Tom Nolan versus Benoit Staff Denise, baby. I think this is pretty simple. I feel like a lot of people aren't gonna like this matchup, to be fair, but I think this is pretty. Pretty much a no-brainer. I think it's easy to make. Timeline could make sense. And I think you could build Tom Nolan off this fight if he catches a dub. If he can win this fight, you could I think a lot of fans could gravitate and would like Tom Nolan, so I don't know. UFC probably won't do it, but the whole lightweight division right now with the way everything's played out is kind of tricky. But me personally, this is the fight I would go with and make. Now, on to the big fights, the bangers of the bangers. I don't want to see any other fight than this. I don't want to see it. However, actually, I'll get to it in a minute. There is one I would take, maybe. But I think you got to capitalize. You got strike one. If you miss this time, you might just skip strike two and go right to strike three, depending on how everything plays out. But I think right now you got to do Paddy Pimblett versus Ilia Topuria. Paddy may want to stay more active, and you always see, I believe, in the next slide, if he does want to do so, I might have a matchup for him other than Ilia. But if Ilia can heal up, come back next year, early next year, I think Paddy would wait on it, and I think this would be the fight to make for sure. Paddy coming off a win, Ilia coming off a loss. Both guys lost to Justin Gaethje in title fights, and I don't really got to go into detail if you're watching this video about the history these two have had, all the shit talk and the beef that they've had back and forth. So, yeah, man, the UFC has to capitalize on this while it still could be a huge fight, and both guys are kind of on the winning. Well, Ilia's obviously not on the winning side of things, but he's a huge name. People are going to want to see how he comes back after that Justin Gaethje loss. Paddy's loss to Justin Gaethje does not look nearly as bad as it did when it first happened. So I think the UFC has to take absolute full advantage and do this fight now. And if they don't, there's a possibility it doesn't happen again. Because truth be told, I'm rooting for Ilia. I think he'll come back good. I think he'll come back all right. I think he has a good head on his shoulders. But at the end of the day, we don't know. We have no idea. So he could come back and lose again. Paddy could win. Paddy could fight somebody else, lose. We don't know how things are going to play out. So capitalize, book it. It's not that hard. And honestly, I think at this point, Ilia coming off that loss, I think this is about the best he could get right now as well if he wants to stay at lightweight. So I think both guys would be down to do it. I think it's a huge fight. I just don't know if you could main event this though, and it would be hard to put together a main event that would top it. So that side of things gets a little tricky. And I honestly don't think Justin Gaethje has a interest in rematching either of these guys. So yeah, man, this would be fucking amazing. Paddy versus Ilia. Ilia coming off that devastating loss. Man, the numbers this would do would be absolutely outrageous. I think you could main event this even without a belt on the line. I just don't know if the UFC would want to do that. Might have to be a co-main. Not really sure what the plans on that would be, but yeah, I'm cracking a big smile even thinking about this. But the UFC's been on a hot streak. So maybe not, but in past history they have a weird way of kind of fucking some things up and missing out on big fights. So perfect timing for both of these guys. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it quick. Let's get this shit together, UFC. Let's book this fight as soon as possible. Moving on. Max Holloway versus nobody. Yeah, nobody. Couple different directions you could go with Max. He's in a really tricky situation because, look, I want to see big fights. Would I complain and bitch about a Justin Gaethje rematch? Honestly, probably not. However, in my opinion, I think you have to give Arman Tsarukyan the title shot. I just think you can't deny it anymore. I think Arman Tsarukyan has to be fighting for a belt, and if he's not fighting for a belt, he has to fight Charles. It's either the Charles fight for Arman or the title fight. So with that being said, you're obviously not going to do Max versus Charles. And the way that fight with Charles went, I don't think the UFC is going to want to book Max versus Arman either. So, and then obviously Patty is a possibility. You could do Max versus Patty. I think would be okay. But I think the matchup to make obviously with Patty is Ilya. So kind of puts Max in a weird spot because he's too big of a name. And he's fought too good of guys and hasn't really lost anybody yet other than Charles at lightweight. He's coming off a win over Dustin, coming off a win over the current champion, Justin Gaethje. So I don't think he's going to fight somebody down in the rankings. They're going to want to give him a big name. So honestly, right now, he's in a weird spot. I have Max fighting absolutely nobody. It's going to have to be Patty or Conor, in my opinion. So yeah, I don't know. They might just run back the Conor fight. And as we're on that topic, bang. I did it. There we go, baby. There we go. Yeah. It's come to this point. I almost just put retirement. Conor McGregor versus retirement because that's what I think he should do. But I do understand he's not going to go out like that, guys. He's not. I know everybody's really annoyed and devastated by that outcome, but it's pretty clear he's not going to go out like that. He's going to come back. If it's an ACL, it'll probably be a year, so he'll be damn near 40. Michael Chandler's already 40. This fight might have just been, maybe it's just meant to be, you know? The UFC will probably run it back with Max, but if they don't run it back with Max, I think there's only one other person you can give the McGregor fight to, and that's Chandler. And I worry about this too, because I really don't know how much interest is going to be in this. Obviously, anything with Conor is going to sell, but after the last two fights from Conor, I don't know. I worry about the market. I don't know if you can 5-round main event this. Man, it's tricky. It's tricky, and honestly, I think Conor can win the fight. Healthy, I think he could win the fight. People are gonna say I'm glazing, whatever, but his kickboxing didn't really look real smooth, at least in the clips I saw. But him shadow boxing, hitting pads, Conor didn't look bad. He looked a little snappy. It didn't look as fast, but he is a little more filled out at a heavier weight, so maybe that had something to do with it. Obviously, and the dude's also 40 years old. All the people want OG Prime McGregor back. It's not gonna happen, regardless if he's healthy or not. Doesn't mean he can't put on a good performance. If it's an ACL, I find it hard to say blessing in disguise. However, maybe it could be a blessing in disguise, man. Who knows? Because we'll never know how he was gonna look against Max. We really won't. And I think this is a fight that was supposed to happen a couple years ago. 2 unks. I just worry about the fan attraction for this fight, especially it being a main event. And at the age they would do this at, man. Yeah, I don't know. That was a really, really shitty outcome. That was honestly the worst possible outcome that could have happened. I heard Guru say this and I couldn't agree more. It's one of those things where McGregor, Conor haters and Conor fans both lost. Conor fans couldn't see a scrap, couldn't see a fight, couldn't see him do well, whatever. Conor haters couldn't see him get beat up, couldn't see Max KO him. Nah, like, both sides lost. Conor lost. Max kind of lost too, but at the same time, he got paid fucking like $6 million or something for nothing, pretty much, for a training camp, which I know is hard, but dude got a huge payday just for a training camp. So, who was the backup fighter for this fight? I mean, seriously, the backup fighter could have been ready in 10 minutes, you know? Sheesh, man. It don't really get much worse than that for Conor. I don't know where he goes. But yeah, if you don't do the trilogy with Max, which the UFC probably will, I think this is the only other matchup. And if you can't make this fight or the Max fight happen, I think that's a wrap. I think that's a wrap, man. But anyways, that's the matchups I think the UFC should make after UFC 329. If you guys think I missed anything, please leave it in the comment section below. Or if you guys would make a different matchup with any of these fighters yourselves, like I said, leave it in the comment section below. I read every comment. And yeah, on to the next one. Peace.